Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Buzz Aldrin. 3 men to represent the culmination of a dream and the beginning of a new concept of reality.
Well, my friends, hello. It is me, Tim Dodley, the Astronaut. Look where I am. Are you kidding? I mean, I am so excited. I am looking at a countdown clock right now that says T-minus 24 hours, 19 minutes, 53 seconds from seeing humans launch on NASA's biggest, most powerful rocket to ever fly. It's going to be taking 4 humans. Now, here's my first controversial statement, apparently. I'm saying it's taking them to the moon. I'm sorry. They're not landing on the moon, but if you go all the way out to 402,000 kilometers, flying only a few thousand kilometers above the surface, I mean, you're going to the moon. Like, that's your destination. You're like in Star Trek, if a planet, if a intergalactic ship goes out to a different world and goes out and visits a different star, you're saying I'm going to that star. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that in chat? Let's start off with some controversy. Let's stir the pot here. I am okay saying that these 4 humans are going to the moon. It is different than landing on the moon. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, I don't know if it's I don't know. I mean, obviously you can say, I think one word that helps ease the two differences, the two sides, is say if you say they're going out to the moon for some reason, adding that extra little word of they're going out to the moon does help, as opposed to like being as definitive as like to the moon does probably infer a little bit of landing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of their destination is the moon, so they're going to the moon. I saw someone on online say something like, if you go to McDonald's but you go through the drive-through, are you not going to McDonald's? It's like, yeah, I would agree. I'd 100% say that you still go to McDonald's even if you didn't even get out of your car. So that's my stance. It's totally fine to say these 4 humans are going to the moon. Anyway, how are you guys? Welcome to Kennedy Space Center. We are out here just a day away from seeing, for the first time in my entire lifetime, I have not lived on this Earth when humans have been outside of low Earth orbit. So, I mean, come on. That's, like, right there. Like, that's as exciting as it gets. They're going to be riding, of course, the Space Launch System rocket, the SLS rocket with the Orion spacecraft on top. And I don't know. This place hits me so hard whenever, like, I can get caught up in all these other things in life, and then as soon as you come out here to Kennedy Space Center and you're surrounded by history, and then you're at, like, I was at the press conference earlier hearing the talk about, the weather briefings and all that stuff, which, by the way, weather is looking good. 80% go, which in spaceflight terms is pretty darn good. I mean, honestly, I can't tell you how many launches I've watched that are 50-50 or worse, and they still go. But at the same time, I've also seen ones that are, 90% go that scrub. So tomorrow they do have a 2-hour launch window starting at 6:24 p.m. Eastern time. So that's 20 basically. 22:24. There we go. UTC, I believe. And they have a 2-hour launch window. So if you are a European friend, you might have to stay up a little bit later than normal to catch this. Here's the other thing. My other, like, personal gut feeling insight is normally we get just these little whisperings of, like, well, they have a known, like, little issue. It's just a little issue. They're going to try a little workaround. It should be fine. I haven't heard anything like that. Literally, like, they're talking about, like, how many backups of things they have on top of everything. So that being said, like, that feels good. It feels good to have it be where we're not hearing, whispers or murmurs of anything like a scrub. So it's that's fantastic. What more could you ask for? So, man, I just want to know how you guys are doing. Are you guys ready for this? Are you excited about this? Tell me your emotions. I mean, I don't think it's going to quite hit me until I see this thing lift off, which, by the way, SLS still provides when you have these massive solid rocket boosters. Those rocket boosters are space shuttle-derived rocket boosters. The segments literally were flown on space shuttle missions. But instead of there being 4 segments, they're 5-segment boosters, so they're 25% more powerful, basically, than the space shuttle. They are massive, and solid rocket boosters just have this deep rumble, extra percussive sounding, even compared to Starship when Starship launches. That's nuts. Like, Starship launching is crazy. I think this, and plus we're 3 miles, so 5 kilometers away from it, and normally we're 5 miles or 8 kilometers away from Starship. So, if you do the inverse square law on sound and all that stuff, like, it makes a big difference being this much closer, and with those solids, it shakes. Like, it shakes. I'm excited to our production trailer. We'll probably be going nuts. So, yeah, I am beyond excited to be here, and thank you guys so much for all of you that are hanging out here. I mean, that just means the world to us, and we've been just go. Hopefully you notice. A lot of people, people always want to know where's the latest video and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully you noticed that I actually had that video that was posted yesterday, kind of the whole complete guide to Artemis 2. I had that done in January. But I just have held on to it because I wanted to wait until we're basically 2 days, because that's kind of the optimal. Like, I was waiting until my real trigger sign was, my real go was, my mom had texted on Monday morning saying, I just saw the Artemis program being talked about on the Today Show, which is, if you're not from the U.S., Today Show is like a NBC morning news classic. Like, that is as like everyday human. If they see something on the Today Show, it is now publicly, like, aware, right? And so I try to line it up with that news cycle. So hopefully you've watched that. If you haven't, hopefully that will answer any question that you do have about this mission, because this is a very unique mission, specifically the mission profile, where they will do, basically they're in like an elliptical orbit in 3 different elliptical orbits. The initial orbit of SLS, when the core is burning, gets it into a really highly elliptical orbit in the first place, so that the core does as much work as possible, but then doesn't stay up loitering in space. So the core, the very initial burn, will make it so the core comes back around and burns up on perigee. And that means that they have to do a slight orbit raise maneuver. I'm trying to think about, I think they have to light up ICPS at that first apogee for a minute to slightly raise their orbit and then fire it again for the main orbit raise maneuver, which would normally later on in later missions be the translunar injection, and then they'll go into the translunar coast later on. We'll talk about that. And then, so it gets it into a really highly elliptic orbit, which is very unusual. We've never seen anything like this. That also means, for all of the people out there that talk about the radiation, Van Allen radiation belt and stuff, guess what? This mission's flying through it 6 times, basically. In fact, it's the first orbit. It's pretty much smack in the middle of them. But if you've watched my video on the Apollo program and all that stuff, you hopefully do understand that the radiation, although of course it can be deadly if you were to loiter or try to live in that regime, but when you're passing through it, flying through it for relatively short periods of time, it's a different thing. It's all about cumulative radiation, just like all radiation exposure. So I'm going to get to some of your guys' questions because I see a lot of people throwing support and asking good questions. In fact, I'm seeing a good amount of just people that have become members that are, thank you so much for those of you supporting that are members that are hanging out. It means a lot to us and our team here that's been setting up now for basically the last 2 days. So, so thank you guys for tuning in and watching, and including all these people that I'm putting up on screen, Matt Camper, 1994, and Wilbert. And our first super chat and our first comment is this. Tim. Thank you from Heisenberg 2A. Thank you so much. Let's look for a question. So let's see here. Mr. Magic Pants, Tim, you go to the launch. You don't enter the rocket, but you can say you went to the launch. So they are going to the moon. That's so true. I'm at this launch. I'm not on the launch. That's a good way to put it. Am I not at this launch? Did I not go down? Did I not go to the SLS, to Artemis 2 launch? I went to the launch. Was I on it? No. Interesting. Ooh, yeah. Are they? I guess. Andrew in my ears. Producer says, are the astronauts on the rocket or in the rocket? Both. They're on it. On the top, but in it. What are people yelling about? People yelling. I don't know. All right. So, from Jebediah Kerman, our old friend, saying to the moon or bust. It should be to the mun. M-U-N. I wish. I've seen enough Kerbal missions in my life to know how this stuff works, and I am very excited. Let's see. This is from Slithery. How you doing? Any chance of an interview with Jared? And 75 months, by the way, from Slithery. Thank you so much for your ongoing and persistent support. Love to see you in chat. We had something lined up, but so far I don't know what's quite happening. I think schedules are changing all over the place, up and down the board around here. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. So maybe afterwards we'll be able to catch up with him or something. He's a very busy man, and I love how much work he's been doing to be. He's on NSF and stuff like that too. So, man's a busy man, which is fantastic. So. Let's see. I saw a legitimate question from. I'll get to this one. I'll kind of skip here. Asking from Mr. Sarvi, are the astronauts on board now? No. They don't board until tomorrow at about T-minus 4 hours. And we're going to go live a little bit before that, kind of when they are done suiting up. We'll actually be live for a few hours so you can see the suit up and see basically it'll be a restream of NASA, but then I will come on and start hosting when they're about to leave the crew building, and head out to the pad, because I want to be here for that, and we'll see them drive by right here. We will see the 4 astronauts literally right here on this road that's over my shoulder. So that makes me excited. And let's see. Let's keep answering more questions. Let's see. Go for launch. What has changed systems hardware-wise from Artemis 1 to Artemis 2? So that's a good question. They've done a few things, like there's these little aerodynamic consideration things on the solid rocket boosters. They added to kind of prevent fluttering and some of the things. The Orion capsule is a lot more complete. The first one didn't actually have an ECLA system, didn't have an environmental control and life support, basically. And this one does, obviously. Obviously, when you have 4 humans on it for a week or for 9 days. There's that change. Other than that, I think there's a lot of little tweaks. I think sounds like they redesigned a lot of the seals, the hydrogen seals and stuff. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't have a list of like these specific items. That'd actually be a good thing to try to get an answer to. Tomorrow, I will let you know that we will have the program, what is it, senior manager of Orion, on our stream. So save some of those questions for him, because that will be a fantastic opportunity to be able to ask someone that would know specifically what has changed between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2 as far as Orion goes. So we'll have them on air, and that's going to be awesome. So maybe save those kinds of questions for a proper subject matter expert. From Craig FJ, and thank you so much for 47 months of support. They're going around the moon and coming back. Yeah, that just sounds so much longer. Let's see. That's just so much longer. I like the catchiness of going to the moon. This is from Dave 6842. Just became a member. Thank you so much for your support. This Drac Richards. Listen, I don't think we're going to do a pointy end up, flamey end down check, and it would be irresponsible to do it this early. I feel like if we did it too prematurely, something could change. So I think we really want to save it for tomorrow. I mean, you guys could maybe do your casual, amateur version of pointy end up, flamey end down at home, but you'll need an authorized checker for that kind of thing tomorrow. So I'll save my skills for that. That is why I'm out here. Someone has to be able to do that. This nice from Lego Train. My birthday is today. Fantastic. Happy birthday to Lego Train 4894. Let's everyone say happy birthday, Lego Train. Let's see here. From Grinwin 123. It's like 15 years since NASA launched Crew with its own vehicle, right? That's true. Since 2011. I hadn't even thought about that. Since it's been a NASA-designed and NASA-led vehicle program, a program that, NASA owns and operates basically like SLS, and it's been since the space shuttle. So when was that? That stopped on, was it May 5th, 2011 or something like that, somewhere around that? Someone fact check me. So yeah, it's been almost July 8th. Okay, I was way off. But yeah, that's the last time the space shuttle flew, and that was the last time that NASA, owned, operated, and was the lead engineering. Obviously, they still have subcontractors building all the components, but that's exactly how this rocket is as well. It's all, you have the Lockheed Martin Orion capsule. You have Boeing doing the core of the vehicle. You have United Launch Alliance, the upper stage. You have Northrop Grumman as the boosters. Yeah, I mean, there's the European Service Module. It's all other contractors basically. I have a question in our Discord from Forge Gamer asking, for people watching the launch in person who don't have Starlink, what should we expect when it comes to how good the internet will be? It might not be great. There's expected, I'm hearing the number 400,000 people will be at the Cape tomorrow. If that's true, holy crap. Yeah, I would not, honestly, if you're really worried about being connected and everything, it might be worth going to Best Buy and grabbing a Starlink dish, sincerely. Because, yeah, I think the cell phone tower is going to be absolutely swamped. So, yeah, that's something that hopefully we don't have to contest with too much. We have 3 Starlinks here. We have a primary internet connection that currently I don't think it's working, which is weird because we paid a lot of money for that. It is working, really. Whoa. We do have a primary internet connection, a landline, which is great. So, okay, we have that. We have 3 Starlinks helping to run our show and aggregate more data. And then we have, 4 more SIM cards all combining. So we hopefully, knock on wood, they're in the priority SIMs. Yeah. Let's see here. This is from the June Mango. I'm emotional. I wasn't alive during the Apollo program. I hope to make it to the actual moon landing. I hope you do too, because hopefully we're not far off. I personally don't know if I believe in a 2028 time frame. I think we should be pushing really hard towards that. I won't be surprised if it's 2029 or even later, just knowing how ambitious all this stuff is. I think SLS and Orion are going to be ready. Starship has a big path ahead of it. I'm doing a really big deep dive on that. Like one of my deepest deep dives that I've ever done on just like one topic like this. Over an hour long. I know you guys always ask where's all my videos, and then you have to remember that instead of making like one 10-minute video every month, I'm basically making one 60-minute video every 6 months at this rate. Lots of animations, and it will give you a good sense of why, of how ambitious really Starship is, and why it's going to take so long. And we'll even going over the exact number of tankers and changing out some variables and things like that. So, yeah. This is a question from, I've got the sun coming right over here. Let's see, from Pierre Simonson asking, is this rocket bigger than the Saturn V? No, it is technically shorter. The core of it is smaller. The core is, like, the orange part is 8.5 meters wide versus 10 meters wide of the Saturn V. When you add in the boosters do make it a wider, profile there from that direction, and it is shorter. It's 95 meters tall versus 111, I think, for the Saturn V. So it's smaller altogether, and it also is less capable. It can take about 27 tons on a translunar injection to the moon, and the Saturn V could do 45 tons. So it is a ways behind that, but it's not designed to lift the lunar lander. It's designed basically just to get the crew cabin out there, the crew capsule out there, the Orion capsule, and then meet up with the lunar lander is how they're doing it this way. And I have a video, like I said, I've got several videos that I'm working on actually about that. That is really going to deep dive into that whole thing. And if you think about it, you're gonna have, So when they do the translunar injection, right now they're basically maxing out this rocket with the Orion capsule, and the Saturn V had. Similarly, actually, the service module and command module for the Apollo service modules were almost the same weight as the Orion capsule. It was smaller, but it had a much bigger service module. The capsule was. So this is a bigger capsule. They can fit 4 astronauts instead of 3. It has a toilet. It's 50% more volume, so it is more. I don't want to say luxurious, but it's definitely more accommodating for a crew for a week than the Apollo program. And, they're going to be going out and taking 3 days on the translunar coast to get out there. I said the magic word, translunar coast. You might notice our new shirt is our translunar coast shirt. We have, hopefully you guys are people that, here, you can see it now a little bit better. Translunar coast on the back. There's a bunch of stuff here I'll show you that if you go to everydayastronaut.com/shop, we do have a whole bunch of new merch, a whole new collection that I'm really, really excited about. So here's our translunar coast shirt. On the back, it's got the crew, the Artemis crew, the 4 astronauts there, and some nerdy facts, as all my shirts and all my merch do have nerdy facts about stuff. But then the shirt that I'll be wearing tomorrow, this is like my favorite shirt ever. It's an orange to the core shirt, and it's sun-kissed isocyanate, which is the one of the chemical compounds that makes it so the core of the rocket is orange. And then orange to the core. This is just one of my all-time favorite shirts ever. I will be wearing that all summer long, doing this, putting it in the pool. And I am so excited for this. So if you want to help support the show, head on over to everydayastronaut.com/shop. Oh, and we have this, our new slow roll towing with the crawler, featuring the crawler. So check out our new collection, everydayastronaut.com/shop. You've got my, you can see the hat that I'm wearing, the Artemis metal core hat that has Artemis written on it in, metal core font. So, I'm so excited to have new merch. It's always a fun way to support the shop. So, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Thank you guys for doing that and supporting the show. Get yourself some cool new merch. So, back to some questions. This is from, let's see, where are we? Okay. Tim, my friend and his family are in Florida right now from the UK, and it's his 50th birthday today, and a good chance he'll see the launch tomorrow. Not that I'm jealous or anything. Any chance of a birthday shout out to Stuart Hodlin? Well, yes. Hello, Stuart Hodlin. Happy birthday. Really hope that it lines up for you tomorrow to be able to see a very historic and very epic launch. By the way, while I was talking, I missed it. We are exactly under 20. We were just under 24 hours, and I missed it. Rambling, Randy. We're 24 hours, my friends. We're within a day right now. So this gives you an idea of the lighting for Ryan and Spencer and Andrew. It gives you a sense of the lighting that we see on the rocket. That would be gorgeous. I would be so stoked if that rocket lifted off in these lighting conditions. The next window, I mean, hey, let's talk launch windows for a second. So there's a 2-hour launch window. So tomorrow it could potentially move later. Sunset around here is it's at 7:39 p.m. Eastern. So right now it's 6:25. So basically, for the first hour in the first launch, even if they had to move it a little bit into the launch window, even if they launched almost at the very end, the last like 15 minutes will probably be full on night. But they would have about an hour and 45 minutes of good light, of light that would make me very happy, because I do want to see. I want to be able to see the rocket. You know, that's the problem when it's a night launch, is especially with those solid rocket boosters. They're so bright because you have all the afterburning of mostly of the alumina in the atmosphere that it glows so bright looks. Of course, I have that really stupid quote that I said at Artemis 1 when it got up in the air, and I just go. The first words out of my mouth after like waiting for this rocket for years and years and years and years and years was, "Oh my God, it's so bright!" Like, thank you. Good information, Tim. So hopefully, if this thing launches during the day, you have a much better chance of seeing the rocket and seeing. I love, the having different colors like that. The orange, I think, is so cool. I just want to see this thing fly. I don't want it to launch at night. I was so stoked that this launch window is like a daytime launch. So this would be the lighting conditions tomorrow, basically. And like I said, for about an hour, 45 minutes, it'll still be sunset would be an hour and 15 minutes, basically, after that launch window would be sunset. And then anything after that, you have a good, 20, 30 minutes of dusk where it'd still be good lighting conditions, better than just pure darkness. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone. But then the next day, actually, let's see if I can pull that up here. Let me see if I can find to launch window. There's a graphic here that I will pull up from NASA. And that's the old one. Where's the new one? Man, where is that? Is that this one? Yeah, here. I'll pull this up. Wait. What is all this cabbage? I just want that graphic. Where did that go? If anyone can find it. I don't know why. I normally just say Artemis 2 new launch window graphic. I don't know. Find it. The internet. Here we go. This is one that will work from Facebook. Here we go. NASA.gov. Here we go. I'm finding it. And let me throw it over onto the world's darkest monitor that I can't hardly see anything on. Okay. Okay, come on. Launch window. Here we go. I finally did it. I did it. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. And this does show the all-important metric of lighting, rise, sunset, and sunrise. So, yeah, the launch window for tomorrow. This is cool. I didn't realize that you could, maybe you can't. For April 1st, April Fool's Day, of course. Wouldn't that be ironic? At 2:24 to our 22:24 UTC, so 6:24 p.m., it is 1 hour and 1.28 hours. So I don't know if that means, based on this, so you have to do some weird math. So basically 1.25. So it'd be, 1 hour and 15 minutes basically from before sunset. So, and like I said, there's all these launch windows in this are 2-hour launch windows for every day. The next day, if it would scrub, they can do a 24-hour reset. They would prefer, I think kind of today he was talking like they'd rather do a 48-hour, but under certain circumstances, the 24 might be more advantageous. And they'll kind of use those, they can do a 24 or 48-hour reset to kind of help dodge weather and things like that. So depending on what those things look like, would be kind of their decision-making process there. But if they would go on Thursday, the 2nd, that'd be 7:22. That'd be not a half hour. That'd be 20 minutes before sunset. That would probably be gorgeous. But still, same 2-hour launch window. The next one, the 3rd, is now after sunset. But it, again, is about 20 minutes after sunset. So it still would be dusk-ish. But that's assuming that it launches right at the top of that 2-hour launch window. So that's kind of your rundown. I will post this link for you to find it because it took me longer than I thought to find it. I'll post this link in YouTube here for you guys if you want to find it yourselves. And hopefully that lets you know if you want to save it on your phone. I have it saved on my phone, and I've been looking at it every day, basically. So let's see here. This is from also Lego Train. Yeah, your birthday is today. Yeah. we already wished you a happy birthday, and thank you for hanging out. So the Junmengo just became a member. Thank you so much. This is from Been There 1. Why can't this new mission really orbit the moon like Apollo 8? It's a more powerful rocket, but it can't even get Orion to the moon or use the rocket burn to leave orbit. This is just a flyby. So here's why. There's actually a really good reason for this. So they're doing things on this mission in a very iterative step. They are, every time they fire up a new stage for the first time with humans on it this time, they're being very cautious. So, obviously during the ascent on the core stage, while they're riding the core and with the boosters, and then later on just the core, they have the launch abort capability, right? And then once all that's done and it gets into an orbit, they're actually on a free return trajectory on that very first after MECO. If for some reason something happens with the upper stage and it doesn't light, they are already coming back down, right? So keep this theme in mind. They're already on their way back down for safety, basically, right? Then again, once that upper stage lights, it can raise the orbit, and they do kind of most of the work to get out to the moon, like 95% of the delta V basically to get out to the moon. Using that orbit raise maneuver gets them up to 70,000 kilometers. So what, 45 or whatever, 1,000 miles or so in altitude. So basically getting like a highly elliptical orbit. And that's, again, another reason so that if something happens at the top of that orbit and the service module doesn't work for some reason, if there's a propulsion issue, they're coming back. They're on their way back down, and they would re-enter. They're doing this very cautiously. This is the reality of 21st century NASA, is they want to be able to, which why not? Like for this shakedown, that's all this is. This is a shakedown of every piece of this rocket, the boosters, the core, the upper stage, the service module, the Orion capsule. They want it all to work, and have as much, ability to be able to bring the crew back safely at any, what would the right word be? Not, turmoil, at any, dynamic event, right? So anytime you're firing up a new system for the first time, they want to be able to have kind of that ability to bring the crew back safely and quickly. So because of that, the Orion, so here's where we're getting why it's not orbiting the moon. The Orion capsule then will be doing its own translunar injection, using up some of its available, it has roughly 1,200 meters per second of delta V capability when that service module is pushing around the Orion spacecraft. It has about 1,200 meters per second of delta V. That is a lot down from the Apollo craft, which had over double that. But that would normally be totally not used for any of the orbit rays, right, to get it out to the moon. That would normally be the job purely of the upper stage. The upper stage would get them out to the moon. Notice I said get it out to the moon. Would get it out to the moon. Of course, that upper stage isn't going to land on the moon. And then they would use the service module to do basically the slowdown to do the lunar orbit insertion burn. So because they're using the service module as a checkout again at at the lowest point in the orbit, they're doing that burn with the service module. They don't have enough delta V basically to be able to do an orbit. They know the service module works. They know how to target the moon. They know all of that kind of stuff to raise out and do a free return trajectory. Basically, they're repeating a similar trajectory to Apollo 13. Obviously, we don't want to probably talk about that as well, but if you're choosing that mission profile, it's actually a really good mission profile to do a free return trajectory, so that if something is wrong again and something happens with the propulsion or there's a leak or something, you're coming back. You are automatically, the spacecraft is coming home. So that's the priority for this. This is just a first shakedown, first time we've done things in a new way. NASA's a lot more risk averse after losing 2 crews during the shuttle program. And this is just what it looks like these days. And I'm fine with that. Like, whether you orbit or not, I mean, it would be cool. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see them orbit the moon, especially like an elliptical orbit, so they're getting closer and then further away on, do a few orbits. Which is what the original intent later on will be the, near rectilinear halo orbit. So that's why, long story short, that's why they're not going into lunar orbit for this particular mission. I rambled on that one for a long time. Sorry, everybody. This is from Kitty Donahue. Almost 6 years ago, I became a member during the Demo 2 launch. Now I can't wait to see Artemis 2 launch. I mean, that is amazing, Kitty. You've been around for a long time. So welcome to a really fun new stream where we are seeing something, I think, pretty spectacular. It's going to be fun. And by the way, I mean, come on. I just think, in my opinion, obviously I'm biased. I think Starship's so fun to watch. I think it's so cool to see. But something about this rocket is extra iconic and extra, like it just has kind of just has aura, you know, like it's just it. I think it's actually really cool. It feels a little more Kerbal, even though, like, in my opinion, a lot of the things that Starship does is about the most Kerbal thing you can possibly imagine. This just feels like a rocket that you build in a rocket simulator program with orange cores, you know, big giant solid rocket boosters. It has it all. A big, you know, old school launch abort system like that, you know, reminiscent of the Apollo program. I'm okay with it. I love it. I'm excited for, you know, as we kind of move forward to see what other options can open up this capability, which again, I will be talking about that in an upcoming video. That I had already completely shot it. I had shot it in, like, what was that? December, November? And then everything just kept changing. And now I'm just like, I'm just going to have to reshoot this entire thing. It's an hour and a half long, which is also why I broke off the Starship Human Lander System part of that. Let's see. This is Heath N89. How will the visibility be for telescope viewers? So depends on your definition. I need a little more information. Are you talking locally here? Because that's all very weather dependent. If you're talking, are you looking downrange? Like, are you up in, you know, are you down in Miami or up in Charlotte or something? This rocket will more or less be flying pretty easternly. It doesn't go on like a, you know, northeast 51.6 degree inclination like they do for the ISS. So it won't be a great one if you're far away. But if you're asking, can you see the spacecraft through a telescope at night? You should be able to, especially while it's still attached to the upper stage. While it's still attached to the upper stage, that'll be the brightest. So, but the only problem is, I don't know if it ever line up with anyone's. Yeah, actually, if you are. Yeah. If you would be nighttime, it almost should on the first orbit. You would, and maybe even, I wonder if people will see the insertion burn potentially on the other side of it, but that might be daylight over there. I don't know. But yeah. Speaking of telescopes, oh, look at our tracking telescope here, pointed at what I'd say is the important stuff. As you can tell, it is the bokeh's too strong right now, but you do see a fuzzy old. Yeah, this is the image exactly like this that we'll use for the pointy end up, flaming and down check tomorrow. I think this is exactly the kind of imagery that we need for high definition. But that's one of our tracking telescopes, which I can't wait. I love the tracking shots that the team here gets with you know, with us and Cosmic Perspective. Ryan's gonna be running his. Running that tracker, which is awesome. And, yeah, it's going to be great. Spencer's going to be running another RoboCam that's not as tight, but I think it'll be a good overview perspective of the whole thing. So really can't wait for that. We have Miss Anastasia Beaverhausen. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And then also account 1337 became a member. Thank you so much. This is from Chugan7595. It's been ages since I've watched your channel. I've recently fallen in love with the game of space, and again, your channel. I'm glad to see you're still around. Well, thank you. Where did you go? What happened? But welcome back. I will always welcome you back with the biggest, most welcoming open arms. That's to all of you. If anyone, I know there's a lot of people. I have this on YouTube a lot where I will be subscribed to someone, and for whatever reason, YouTube just says, you know, you don't need to see their new videos. Don't worry about it. And it'll be like years. Like, there's creators like even Colin Furs, who's a channel that I love to see. There was probably like a year and a half drought where like I just didn't see any of his content, and like it took me looking, like I saw something else on like Instagram or something. Like, wait, what am I missing? And I had to like go catch up on his channel. I'm like, what the heck, YouTube? Like they try so hard, I feel like, to push you into like just random stuff that, yeah. And all it does is for me, it takes like, I am a big aviation fan. I'm a big Formula One fan. And music fan. So like I go down a lot of rabbit holes of like other things. And all it takes is me just doing one random like night of watching Formula One content or watching music stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is all you care about now. This is it. Here you go. And it's like no, just keep it. No, what the heck, Siri, naughty. No. But yeah, I think a lot of us experience that where the algorithm takes over and we kind of have to just go on our own. Oh, nice. Daniel's here. Tim, I am waving from 10 miles away. I was just at the Saturn V Center like 45 minutes ago. That is awesome. Well, if you're at the Saturn V Center, that's right over here. So, dang. Yeah, welcome to the Cape. Hope we get a launch tomorrow. That will be awesome. From Troy Thompson says, how's the space weather for this mission? The sun has been pretty active lately. That is true. They talked about that in the weather briefing, and it's looking good. I think he said something like what was it? Was it 90-something% chance of, like, it was very, he basically said right now the amount of protons being thrown our way is 2 orders of magnitude below, like, it's basically just above background. So he's like, this is great. We're 2 orders of magnitude below the threshold. So it's looking good, but they do track that. And I didn't realize, I always wondered, like, how can you, besides, like, seeing, the sun, if there's, like, a active flare or CME or something, like, the sun can, rotate and align with the Earth, obviously, and then we'll know we're going to be blasted by something. But they also can see X-rays coming, because X-rays come at the speed of light, and you do have minutes then before the protons get to you. And the protons are actually the more dangerous part. So that's a cool way to know how they avoid being you just count. You just go 1, 2, yeah. From Owen Schnell. Is there a way to see the launch from public spaces? I'm thinking about flying down tomorrow, but I don't know what or where to go. I mean, if you're flying down tomorrow, you'd have a pretty hard time, I think. I think it's going to be very busy. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you'd be able to see it from Orlando even. Like, this is a big rocket. You would see it from Orlando. And the cool thing, one of my favorite things about this rocket and about the old space shuttle was, it has the solid rocket boosters. So it leaves a very distinct trail in its wake of very opaque white smoke, right? So you see this very distinctly. So the good thing is, like, if you lose track of it, you just follow the trail, and that's something that we don't have the convenience of with a lot of newer rockets, with a lot of, with Falcon 9 and Starship and a lot of rockets that don't use solid rocket boosters. So it would be quite visible even all the way from Orlando. If you're trying to get from Orlando, rental cars will probably be low. The roads are going to be a mess. I mean, people are going to be getting up at sunrise to try to stake a spot, and they're going to be camping out all day for this one, for sure. So it'd be hard. I mean, it's not impossible, but it'd be hard. The beaches would probably be, even all the way down, like, lower, like Cocoa Beach. I think I just got bit by a little ant. Thank you, ant. Like, down further south, Cocoa Beach area would probably be less busy than the highways and Titusville and things like that. But yeah, the whole area. When I said Cape, the Cape's expected. I'm saying that in, like, reference to the entire area, including Titusville. Even Daytona Beach is a decent spot to view launches. You're a little further north there, but yeah, if you're within that vicinity, you'll see this thing, you'll hear this thing, and you'll see the launch. And there's going to be a lot of people, though. There's going to be a lot of people. Oscaro says, how long is the launch window? The launch window tomorrow is 2 hours. So, again, I do have this graphic up. I'll post it again. This is something that I want you guys to save on your phones. I'm putting it in chat, and I have it up on the screen over here. But these are our launch windows. So tomorrow is 4/1. Sorry if you're in Europe. This looks like absolute gobbledygook to you because we go month first, then day, whatever. So, yeah, April 1st, 2026, we have all the launch windows in this April window. We have 6 opportunities, I believe. Why does this look like 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 7. Oh, yeah, this one doesn't really count. We're counting that as, like, the May window, basically, because it's the last day of April. Yeah, we'll basically go into we'll go right into the May window. So the April window are these 6 dates basically, and all of them are the 2-hour launch window. So that's how long it is, and hopefully we don't need that much time. This is from Velociraptor 65. How will Artemis 3's mission differ from tomorrow's Artemis 2 mission? These days, it's differing a lot. So now Artemis 3 is just going to be a low Earth orbit launch of Orion, using SLS, maybe not using an ICPS upper stage. They don't actually need the upper stage to get into low Earth orbit. They could do all of that from the core stage, which would be cool because I think if you're going to do that, don't waste an entire upper stage. And then they're going to dock with one or both of the lunar landers for some preliminary test outs in low Earth orbit. I think that's a great idea. Get all that stuff done here in Leo, where if there's an issue, you're coming back home, you're close to home. Big fan of that. Although I'm not a huge fan of using a $2 billion, $4 billion rocket or whatever it is, launch system to go to Leo. That feels a little wasteful, but I do think it's an appropriate step before going to the moon for Artemis 4. Nice from Jacob Keaton. Tim is my spirit space animal. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, hi, welcome, and thank you for the generous donation. At least it's not Oracle. Has this capsule been tested in Leo? The Orion capsule has flown twice already without people, very successfully. EFT-1 flew in 2014 on a Delta IV Heavy, went out to a highly elliptical orbit. Well, not highly, it was like 3,600 kilometers, I think, peak apogee, and then came back to be able to kind of test the heat shield. And then in 2022 was Artemis 1, which launched this exact, stack basically right here, an SLS rocket with Orion on top. It was uncrewed, so this is the first time humans will fly on Orion. The only problem there, and it was an issue, is they had charring on the heat shield and big chunks missing out of the heat shield that they did not expect. They made a change in the flight profile for return, so it doesn't ever. They're trying to prevent peak temperatures from getting that hot to avoid the pocking. And then the next one, Artemis 3, will have a different heat shield that is more semi-permeable heat shield. So, yep, it has been tested, and it's looking good. Let's see here. What happened to the RS-25 they replaced a little while ago? Will they use it on a future SLS? I'm sure. These days, rocket engines are expensive, especially these particular engines are worth about $125 million each. There's one sitting out there in the lawn. I think that's on a gooseneck. I did rent a pretty big truck. I would sure love to just see if I could maybe pull that thing, take it home. Don't know if anyone would notice. Yeah, I think I could do that. Anyway, yeah, they don't let things just sit idly. They will be absolutely reusing it. Lloyd Christmas says, I will be watching from SoCal. Be safe and Godspeed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. From Handy Man Gene, Jared should have you as a guest in the control room, viewing room. I'm, to be perfectly honest, this is exactly where I want to be. I am exactly where I want to be on launch day. I don't want to be in a control room. I want to be able to be out here, feel it, see it, experience it in its fullest. So I am right where I want to be. We got our whole production crew out here. I don't really know if we have a whole view of everything at all that we can swing around to. Probably not. But I mean, it's a 2-day setup, so I don't want to try to go in there and then not have our amazing setup. So, and again, I gotta thank NASA for allowing us to be so accommodating for us and so many other. I mean, this is as busy of a launch as they'll have seen in decades and decades and decades. So it's going to be an absolute zoo out here tomorrow. Right now, today, I'm actually surprised it's not as busy as I was expecting for T-minus 24 hours. But yeah, we're here. We're ready. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Forge Gamer, for people viewing the launch, oh, yeah, ready. Should I expect? Yeah, we kind of mentioned that one, that it's not going to be great. I would say I would expect to have poor reception. There's going to be a lot of people hogging, fighting over the data, basically, on all the different networks. So let's see. From Six String Simpleton, how long will the blackout period be? Let me think about that. I don't remember if I actually have that. Because they're at a high orbit, it's going to be very low, but they are on a similar inclination, so there will be a blackout period. I don't remember actually seeing that published, but let me see if I can find that. Hold on. Just 1 second, please. Please hold. I like that question. I want to know the answer to that. Wait, where is that complete guide to the... it is the press media kit, the Artemis 2 media kit. Here we go, press kit. And then you scroll down. Let's see if we can see. They have a whole launch timeline that's quite detailed. Let's see if they say the word blackout. Nope, they do not say blackout at all. I don't remember seeing that. I wonder if they're going to be at such a specific inclination, but they're not going to be going over the poles. How will that work? Maybe if they experience, it might be really short because their closest approach is what, like 4,000 kilometers or whatever. Yeah, so that's a good question actually. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Where are we at? Down here. Forge Gamer asking, is that number for the Cape or does that include Titusville? When I say the Cape, I am meaning like colloquially the entire area, just like which probably isn't quite true. But I consider this part of the Cape. Titusville I'd consider part of the Cape. I'm thinking anything within 20 miles of this launch pad is kind of the Cape. But that's in my head. That might not be quite true. Let's see. Andrew, you asked in my ears something about something. Let's see here. Okay. Never mind. We're good. Okay, so how much water do they dump during the launch? That's a good question. That giant water tower there, I don't remember how big. I used to know those numbers offhand. How much water at 39B Artemis to pad deluge? Let's see if we can find it. I am really bad at 400,000 to 450,000 gallons of water. That is so crazy. 1.1 million gallons per minute. That's absolutely crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of gallons. How many is that in liters? Let's find out. 400,000 gallons to liters would be 1.5 million liters is how big. Yeah, I was going to say I think it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. So yeah, that's how big that is. Crazy, right? Let's see. Let's go to the next one. Hi, Tim. Can't wait to see you at Nerdland in Belgium. Will you bring merch? I'm not going to fly with merch, sadly, but I will be in Belgium in May, I think May 17th, to speak at Nerdland Festival. So if you guys happen to be over there on that side of the pond, come say hi. I think it's going to be really cool. Really excited about that one. Yeah, that's awesome. How long will it take to reach the team to reach the moon? It's about 3.5 days. The actual day 2. Let's see. They reached the moon at closest approach is day 6. So yeah, that's day 6, which is T plus 5 days, 1 hour basically. So it really takes about 5 days because they're basically spending an extra day and a half doing some of the preliminary, like the lower orbits, the orbit raise maneuvers and things like that. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything in our Discord. Thank you, Discord, for always keeping me in the loop. Let's see here. What will TLI and an LOI look like on 3 as an Artemis 3? What will translunar injection and low lunar orbit insertion on 3? So if 3 goes by the current plan, it will still be doing the NRHO. So TLI would be done with the translunar injection would be done with the ICPS upper stage. Or if they use that ICPS on Artemis 3, or Artemis 3, if you're asking to look like on 3, Artemis 3 will not have a TLI or an LOI because it's just a low Earth orbit mission now, docking in Leo. But on Artemis 4, the first time when they do orbit the moon and do a lunar landing, the translunar injection burn will all be done with the upper stage of SLS, and it might either be the Vulcan Centaur upper stage, or it might be ICPS, depending on which one they have. And then the lunar orbit insertion will be done at a low orbit at the north pole of the moon. And it'll be done using the European service module, so the service module for Orion. It has to slow down about 400 meters per second to get it into that, and then it requires another few hundred meters per second to be able to get it into NRHO. So, or 400 to be able to, 400 meters per second to get it into NRHO from a lunar flyby. Then it's going to be in this highly elliptical orbit, and then to get home, they have to do the reverse of that. So they'll do that 400 meter per second burn. So, yeah. This is, if we get any footage from the trip to the moon and back, yes, they're talking about doing a lot of live streams, which would be really cool. Would love to see that. I think that'd be really important and impactful. The June Mango, you're the Jenny Nicholson of space exploration stuff. I don't actually know who that is, but thank you for saying that, I think, most likely. I hope that was a comment. Thank you. Soren says, are we getting any live streams from Orion as they fly around? Kind of similar question to what I believe so. Fingers crossed. That is my understanding, is they're trying to be doing some like long-term streaming things. So I remember Apollo, and I must say the excitometer is twitching. That's good to hear. Yes. People that were alive and witnessing the Apollo program, it's so cool that you're able to, be here for this too. So thank you so much for hanging out. This is from Lefe Jame 123. Unfortunately, we're at the press site, so this is a unless you are a credentialed media press, not even like Kennedy Space Center employees are not allowed at the press site actually, and we're not allowed outside of the press site. So, so even if you like work here, you're a contractor, you're not able to come through here. So. If that's the case, no, and unfortunately, I will not be like at like the visitor center or anything tomorrow. We have a very early day and a very, very long day tomorrow. We'll likely be on air. I'll likely be hosting for like 8 hours tomorrow. This is so cool. Souls Redacted says, I'm so excited to share this experience with my 3-year-old and my 1-year-old daughter. Thank you for being part of our live stream. Sharing this is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to watch. This will be a really, really cool one to see fly, especially if it takes off in the daylight. So let's see. Let's go with this one. Since this is the RS-25 shuttles are refurbished space shuttle engines. Any idea on when new engines will be made? Yes, so they are already remanufacturing new RS-25 engines. They're technically called the RS-25E, and they are in production now, and they're going to be ready to support starting in Artemis 4. I think already will be there. There was 16, was it, space shuttle engines, or was it 15? Space shuttle engines. So it's either Artemis 3 or 4, I think, is when we go into these newer ones. So that's awesome. Todd Johnson, thank you so much. 70 months of support. A rocket launch when we can actually watch it. Yeah, these are great if you're in the United States, and even if you're in Europe, these are actually quite decent times for a rocket launch. Like this makes me very, very happy. Some of the other launch windows, the one in March was not a fun launch window, so I am stoked. What is louder, SLS or Starship? I think this is louder, actually. Those solid rocket boosters are no joke. They just rip through the air like nothing else does. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so the next one here, Artemis 2 or Apollo 8 trajectories. Which one is cooler, to be honest? I mean, Apollo 8. I mean, I think orbiting the moon beats not orbiting the moon, in my opinion. So I'm going to say Apollo 8 is cooler. But I think it's actually cool. I'm excited to see what the 3 orbits going out to the moon are going to feel like. And the images of, like, we never really get those chances for, you won't get those chances to see the vehicle go up and then come back down and up and come back down. So we're going to see that, like, almost yo-yoing. At first, it's going to be a little bit. You won't really notice it too much in the first orbit. The second orbit, though, out to 70,000 kilometers and back down, will be dramatic. So the fact that we get to see that will be a fun little bonus. So I don't know if that beats orbiting the moon like Apollo 8, but I don't know. Yeah, but Apollo, you got to go with Apollo 8, though. Astro Joe, awesome. Thank you. 39 months of membership. Good to hear from you. So this is from Komama7403. Why in 50 years are we doing the same thing, but now we're not even landing? Great question. So again, iterative, slow approach, testing out every system of this vehicle first. The way they're trying to do it now is, this is an old school. Sorry to anyone that worked on it. I would say it's a more traditional rocket, right? It's an expendable vehicle, and it's all about like the mass fraction. If you think about it, the Apollo program, the lunar lander that was on top of that stack, was only, when it landed on the moon, was only about 7 or 8 tons, 7 or 8,000 kilograms, right? So it was only 0.25% of the liftoff mass of the Saturn V that actually landed on the moon, right? So very, very, very little mass fraction of what took off on the launch pad landed on the moon. Hey, we have some jets flying over. Oh, my word. I think I know where Jared Isaacman is. I think I know where Jared Isaacman is right now. I think that's him flying in his F5s over the launch pad as we speak. Okay, that's awesome. That's exciting. Buzzing the press site first. How cool. Okay, can we just say a word? Has there ever been another NASA administrator that brings their own jets and NASA livery and then buzzes, like, does all this? That is sick. I think we're working on trying to get a tracking shot of it. Where I lost him in the sky now, actually, completely. Oh, there we are. They're coming right over 39A right now, Ryan, if you're still looking for them. There's 39A. We're trying to get a track on them for you guys. 2 NASA livery F5 jets. One flown by Jared Isaacman, and the other one probably one of his friends. They're going to be flying over 39B. If you just park it above 39B, about twice the height of the rocket, or 2.5 times the height of the rocket, it's coming over in probably about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I couldn't have done that any better. And they're pitching back this way. All right, Ryan's got them. There we go. That is sick. Now that is, I realized Jared Isaacman is the kind of billionaire that when you're in 3rd grade telling your friends, if I win the lottery someday, I'm gonna build a whole Air Force fleet, and I'm gonna get all these fighter jets, and all my friends, we're gonna fly around these fighter jets, and I'm gonna become the NASA administrator. I'm gonna go to space, and I'm gonna go to space a couple times. I'm gonna go on the first moonwalk. I'm gonna buy my own moonwalk, and my friends will come. You guys can come along, and I'll just pay for everything, and you guys can. I'm gonna do all these cool things. Like, he is doing the things that any childhood dream would dream of doing, and to me, I appreciate that so much. Like that. And he's generous. The guy has done a lot of very charitable things. Very, very charitable things, especially with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I hope he comes back. I totally lost him. We had him for a second. Had him for 1 second. Yeah, that was a nice little treat. Beautiful timing for this, too. I got to get I got to just get a picture of this rocket right now. It's so cool. Man, that was sick, though. That was sick. Okay. So, yeah, 50 years, why aren't we doing the landing? Okay, back to the important question. So the thing that NASA's doing, this was an old school, but it was a cost-plus contract rocket, right? And it was kind of just Congress mandated that this rocket flies and exists and does the things that it's doing, right? And because of that, it really wasn't, no offense to SLS and no offense to Orion, but they weren't necessarily designed with the most 21st century forward thinking, right? They were more like, hey, how can we build something and kind of use leftover space shuttle parts, and how can we appease our, districts to be able to keep space alive, right? And this, you got to think of the time frame. This is right as the space shuttle's ending. We're just looking for something. Please just give us something. And this was basically made in by the wish of all these, by Congress, right? And the reality is then it was only, 7 years ago that NASA was like, we're definitely going to need a lunar lander. Okay, quick, let's hire some lunar landers. And they decided to go with, at the time, it was the cheapest and biggest option was Starship. They bid Starship to get $3 billion to fly multiple lunar landing missions. And which is wild. And so the thing that SpaceX is doing is they're trying to cheat the rocket equation. Instead of 0.25% of the rocket mass, the liftoff mass, being what lands on the moon, they're trying to get something more like 7, 8, 9% of liftoff mass because they're refueling in space. They're trying to. It's an order of magnitude, more mass, more crazy, more ambitious. Using reusable architectures. What they're aiming for, Blue Origin, something similar too, aiming for these massive lunar landers. And that's all commercial. That's all fixed price contracts. And so until those vehicles are ready, I think that's the right move. Do I wish this had taken 20 years and had been kind of, again, congressionally mandated to be built the way it's built? No, I don't. Do I think we should use it while we have it? Yes, because we finally have it, and it's finally a capability. Do I think it's going to be a kind of an odd transition while we have this rocket, massive rocket, old school, expensive, flying a relatively small service module and then docking up with a giant Starship at the moon? Yeah, that's going to be weird. But that's where we're at. Is the cost per launch of SLS including the money that was spent for Constellation program? Constellation does not have anything to do with SLS. That was all basically scrapped. The Orion capsule did survive through the Constellation program. So when we're talking about SLS specifically, we are not talking about any of the money spent for Ares 1 and 5 in the Constellation program. So just keep that in mind. Let's keep going here. The moon will be as large as a basketball held at arm's length, right? Bigger than that. It'll take up their whole window probably still. It's pretty close. Also, the April Fool's spam is if it's scroll will be crazy. Oh man, I don't even want to think about that. Eric, thank you for 63 months of membership. Do you know what track it'll follow on reentry? I live in NorCal. Saw Crew 11. I don't think it'll be visible like that. It'll be coming from the west, I think. Like, it'll be coming from the ocean. So you won't see it track down, like the western Pacific coastline like you would on a 51.6 degree inclination like you do for the International Space Station and other low Earth orbit missions like that. So sadly, that likely won't be the case. This is awesome from Shane Malloy. Thankful to be part of this community for so long. Tim, you're my hero to so many. Excited to watch this launch tomorrow from 39-ish miles away. That's awesome. Thank you for 74 months of membership. Really, really appreciate it. What will be the maximum speed attained? So in order to do a TLI, you're basically going 12 kilometers per second. You're going, let me think about this, 20, okay, 20, okay, you're going 17,500 miles an hour. I think that's 22,000 miles per hour to do a TLI. So it's 30, check my numbers, guys. I think it's something like 35,000 kilometers an hour. I'm probably way off. Something like that. Fast. It's very fast. Faster than you can conceive. Like, faster than our brains allow us to really go, I'm going to work on getting through these comments. So just out of respect for our team and the people here, we still have some work to do tonight. So I'm going to work on just trying to finish up a few comments. So, and then I can try to wrap the stream up. This is from King Shimalov. The moon will be... Oh, yeah, we already did that one. Thank you so much. And we did that one. Sorry. All right, from Sim Race World. I like sim racing. Super stoked for this. However, I really hope all issues are addressed. You'd think by now all the leak-related issues would be fixed. It's 2026. Yeah, I agree. We aren't hearing any rumors right now of any scrubs like that. I mean, obviously, they had to fix some stuff during the wet dress rehearsal, and then after the wet dress rehearsal, really hope those things are fixed. They had a really good wet dress rehearsal, though. The wet dress rehearsal, as far as that went, no problems with hydrogen leaks. So really big fingers crossed. Dark Nebula 45. I'm here in Orlando for spring break with the family. What's the best way to see the rocket without getting stuck in traffic in Titusville for hours? Honestly, I mean, if you come out this way, you're prone to be stuck in traffic. I really wish there was more than one road here. Honestly, that's the ultimate thing. I mean, I think if you're on top of like a parking garage or something in Orlando, you could potentially get a really decent view. But if you want to hear it and really hear it, I think you have to be closer. I think you have to be. I mean, you'll probably hear it in Orlando, but I think you'd hear it, obviously much better. But how far? There is an exit before, a good ways before, that gets you about half the distance. I don't want to tell everyone to do this because then but there is an exit with Highway 520. But I don't know if there's any good pull-offs there at all. But that would get you about halfway. And if worst case scenario, you could always go in up north through Orlando and get back without having to get back on 528, which is going to be the crazy, crazy highway. So that could be an option. But make sure you have a good clearing because there's a lot of trees in that area, and you might not be able to see a good shot of the sky either. But it's going to be hard. It's a commitment, I think. Yeah. Curtis, thank you, though, for your super chat. I really appreciate that. Curtis W. Franks, how long can this rocket hold? How long to recycle? If it does not launch at the top of the window, once loaded, could launch later tomorrow. 2 hours. We have 2-hour launch window, 2 hours. That is that answer. Thank you. This is from Scale Model. I did a review of the Airfix Artemis model kit, and I promoted your channel. Cheers. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. For model kit review. Awesome. That's cool. From Sharasi 100. Hello from Serbia. I'm following you for the last 4 or 5 years. You are your best astronaut. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Welcome, and I appreciate you watching. That is fantastic. That makes me very happy. I'm curious. We have 6,000 people watching right now. How many? Just drop where you're from. Just say what country, because I think this is going to be a very international launch. Aviation, won't the shockwaves cut Starlink signal briefly? Probably not. It might have a small effect. But like I said, we have a lot of other data sources. We have cellular. We have a main landline link, land lumber link. Let's see here. What spacecraft ever flown or in development would you not want to ride in? Starliner. Sorry, Boeing. I mean, honestly, until that thing's solved, I wouldn't ride on it. I think they just have a core issue with a lot of the thrusters involved. I think the rest of the spacecraft, I think the inside of the spacecraft and the actual like hull and stuff like that, and the fact that it lands on land is pretty sick, and they've done a good job with that. But until the thrusters are totally solved, yeah, no, thank you. Oh, here comes all the people. Wow, we got people from all over. A lot of U.S., but obviously, yeah, a lot of Europeans. Fantastic. Philippines, Canada. Love to hear it. The moon. Speaking of, I actually do see a full moon here. That's sick. Pretty much full moon coming up over the clouds. That might be a fun little shot to get in there too. Let's see here. What is translunar? So that's a good question. Again, my shirt does say translunar coast. Trans means like, think about transcontinental, right? Means like transferring across, transitioning across, going from one spot to another. I don't know what the definition actually would be, but if you're on a translunar, that means like you're on your way. That's the journey to the moon. So our new merch that's Translunar Coast is talking specifically about that. So that would be, you know, so our merch is now the Translunar Coast merch. Is talking about that phase to be able to go like from basically once you accelerate to go out to the moon, that whole coasting phase. That's your Translunar Coast. And also, we just think it's fun, like Translunar Coast, who is a little bit of a play on the idea of like coast out here, like coastline and beach and summer and fun. So that's what the Translunar Coast kind of helps represent here. Which again, if you want to support the channel, everydayastronaut.com/shop, pick up some new merch. Translunar Coast merch. I love this collection. This is one of my favorite collections ever. I can't wait to wear this tomorrow. Isocyanate, the thing that makes the SLS orange, one of the compounds making SLS orange, the orange foam. Orange to the core, little orange astronaut. I love it, and it's a pocket tee. I am stoked for that. So everydayastronaut.com/shop. Get some new stuff. Slow roll towing with featuring the crawler. Yeah, it's a cool collection. It's a really cool collection. Can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. So everydayastronaut.com/shop if you want to get something fun for yourself or for someone else. Where do you see spaceflight in 20 years? Do you think launches will be more routine, almost like air travel, or rare and high risk? I think it'll be, if it's trending anyway, it's trending right now. I mean, I think, oh, that's, wait, go back to it like 50% transition. There we go. Art. We here at Everyday Astronaut believe in art. Oh, no, not circle wipe. Not circle wipe. That's not art. Actually, maybe that's the most artistic thing anyone could ever possibly do is the circle wipe. Yeah, I think that based on the trends, looking at how much the Falcon 9 is launching nowadays, looking at the plans for what Starship wants to do, I think it'll only get more routine. I think it'll become, really, if you are flying often, just the amount of data that you get and the certainty that you can get, you start to close some of those probabilistic errors of, 1 in a million. It's like if you've flown 3,000 times for a vehicle, you start to find a lot of things and make it reliable. So hopefully that just keeps going, and our future in spaceflight is just more exciting. This is from Hanzo Sample, located in Jacksonville. How far south should I go for best balance of experience without getting stuck in thick traffic? I think like Daytona would probably get you good enough, honestly. Because I think if you keep going too much further south, you will get stuck in traffic. I think Daytona would be healthy, but I'm not an expert in this area. I've never experienced the launch from Daytona, but I think that might be a decent compromise. Just getting, I think if you're within like 20 to 30 miles, pin it on a map, that'd be getting good. Thank you so much, Aviation Expert GPT. Cool. Became a member. Thank you so much. Aviation Expert Tim, how far are you from the pad? Won't the shockwaves? Because yeah, we did mention that. How many fuel burns per second? I don't know about the fuel burn per second, but yeah, we are 3 miles, 5 kilometers away. Yeah, the shaking will be shaking stuff, which could temporarily disrupt some things. Like that's why we are not relying fully on Starlink. That's why we're not relying fully on cellular. It's not why we're not relying fully on a hardline cable either. We have redundancy. We have multiple systems. So let's see here. Can you show us an example of how the moon will look from that distance? Can we? I don't think the closest approach is closer than. I think they get what? I thought it was 4,000 kilometers from the surface. Or is it 4,000 miles? I hear jets again. Get your Jared Isaacman. That was a bird. That bird has jet engines. I'm ready. Hang on. Why did I close that? I closed my Artemis 2 press kit. Oh, wait. Oh, I know what I was doing. Hang on. Artemis 2 closest approach to moon. Let's see what the distance is. Yeah, it's 4,000 to 6,000 miles. So 6,000 to, 6,000 to 9,000 to 10,000 kilometers. So it's not 75,000 kilometers. It will be probably more or less getting close to filling. I don't think it'd fill the window, but it'd be dark. It might fill the window. If you put your face all the way up against the window, you'll probably see all the edges. But yeah, scale model rocket kit review again. Just became a member. Thank you so much. Float Globe. Hey, good to hear from you. Hey Tim, so pumped. Let's do this. Amen. I am so stoked. And discuss Russell before we go to the moon again. It would be a good idea to remove all the space junk in orbit. So. No, I mean, they track all that stuff. They know where that stuff is. We did just have a Starlink anomaly the other day that sounds like it broke apart and is now pieces of Starlink loitering orbit. Not great. But that's trackable objects. We have you know the trajectory, and a lot of that stuff does deorbit in 3 to 6 months. Starlink specifically is meant to be demisable, so it is intended to deorbit quicker. Oh, it's intended to deorbit quicker. By the way, we are coming up on sunset, and that rocket just keeps getting prettier and prettier. So, big fan of that situation. Very big fan of that situation. Chad, oh, thank you, Chad, saying that it's coming back from the south. Or Jared's coming back from the south. We did hear that, but I don't. No ocular assessment on that yet. He might be coming this way again, though. Maybe. Let's see. Love from Australia. Will you be able to see this in Australia? I don't know. I don't have that answer. Maybe. Maybe if you know exactly where to track and point your telescope with the exact whatever it's called, you might be able to see Orion on its way to the moon. Oh, that's awesome. Andrew Stewart, 67 or 6172, saying hello from the space bar in Titusville. That is so cool. Well, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that was all of the things that I really wanted to say today. I'm going to wait until the sun basically sets, which is, I guess we have 20 minutes. Maybe I'm not going to wait that long because we do have to wrap up here and get things going. But I do want to, if Jared flies over again, I would like to see that. I do hear, I feel like I did hear jets rumbling again. Maybe it's just something else. Do I hear jets rumbling still, Ryan, or is that... Really? It appears he's landed, so I am hearing nothing. It's weird when I put these on, I hear like a rumble. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah, there's some woos going on outside. I'm not entirely sure what that's about. Yeah. So, yeah, any other questions? No, I'm not going to answer any more questions because we have a long stream tomorrow. So make sure that you guys are here tomorrow. We will be live pretty much as soon as the astronauts are doing stuff. We're going to be doing stuff. We'll be out here in the morning setting up and getting all ready. But I do want to get my crew fed tonight, and I'm so excited. I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight because this is a huge one. This is the biggest mission. This is the biggest mission of my life. I've never seen humans leave low Earth orbit ever. I've been watching this stuff I almost said I've been watching every single launch. No, I have not watched every single launch anymore. They are way too frequent. I'm also realizing that I'm wildly out of focus this whole time. It's a new development. The VIB is like crisp as a buttercup. Back up a lot. All right, let's give me a 400-meter long cable and I will stand back there. The vehicle assembly building. Thank you, Brain. It's just still so fun to see. I mean, in person, it's just absolutely wild. Like the scale doesn't quite compute still, and so does that rocket. That's gonna be so fun. I'm excited. I really hope you guys are sincerely excited, even if you're not the biggest supporter of, I'm sad to see people, getting all bickery about how, SOS and all this stuff, and soak it in. Soak it in. I can't tell you enough how much I wish I had seen the Saturn V launch, and to know that during the Apollo program, there are so many people saying it's so expensive. Why are we wasting? The reason it got canceled, there were 3 more Saturn, Apollo missions that were built and ready to fly, and the crews were trained, and they were just going to get better and better. And because of people saying it's too expensive, why are we doing this, is why it stopped. And for me, I want to soak this in. We have the budget to do it. We're working on a very healthy but very small budget compared to what used to happen. And we're doing things slower than I would like, but it's about to ramp up and be absolutely incredible. And this is the first one to look back and be like, all right, I remember that era. I remember when finally humans were leaving Earth and going to that other ball in the sky. And I am seeing that other ball in the sky right now. And it's making me so excited. That is going to be really cool that at liftoff we'll have, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Well, not at liftoff, depends on I wonder when sunrise or moonrise will be. Sorry, I'm talking to myself now. Anyway, everyone, I want to thank you again. Oh, we have a few more. I'll answer these quick. From Gamwise, are they going to be standardized in the build for SLS and keep making it? Yes, that is the thing. They're working mostly to not do the exploration upper stage, which was the EUS, the massive, 4 RL-10 upper stage. They're going to be replacing it with the Centaur 5 or Centaur V, and I think that will be good because that will help bring the cost down. And now we can start to, at some point when you start building something for the first time, you can start amortizing those costs now. So hopefully, build it a few more times. It does technically get cheaper. Jerry Dodge, I'll have a pan-galactic gargle blaster. I don't even know what that means, but thank you. And Astro Wave X Lunar Blaze, Tim, you're a role model for all of us space geeks. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Astro Wave X Lunar Blaze. That is quite the name. Well, everyone, let's say a big thank you to our mods today who always help out and are so awesome. But let's hear it again also for our crew that's on site here. Right now, today, we've got Andrew and Spencer and Ryan running everything behind the scenes. And there's been so many people that help, like Jeffrey and so many people that are doing things behind the scenes as well they're making this all happen. So huge thank you to all the people that support. And thank you to all of you for watching, being part of this history, giving me a reason to be able to do this. I mean, if I didn't have you guys to talk to, there'd be no point. I wouldn't be able to do this. So for those of you just watching, throw a thumbs up, send people the link tomorrow when we go live, and let your friends and family know that people are launching to the moon tomorrow. Tomorrow, April 1st, April Fool's Day. We're going to send humans to the moon. And I'm looking at that moon, I'm looking at that rocket, and to know that little thing on top of it's going to go all the way out to that thing in the sky is sincerely a very, very wild concept. So I'm excited. Wish me luck getting some good sleep tonight. And thank you all again so much for your support. So that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody. I'm going to interrupt for a second. If you like this song, you can find it everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. This is Isentropic Retreat on my new album called Direct to Orbit. Find it everywhere. Enjoy.